Thanks very much for coming here today. I really appreciate the effort people have put in. We've got people from all around the world, and we've seen that in some of the presentations just now. I've been very impressed with what I've just seen. A lot of it was new to me. Some of the things that was really clear to me was that the problems are common. We see the same sort of things happening again and again, but the solutions are very different, and they depend on the circumstances, the environment, the economics of it. And that says to me that what we've got is a very complex problem to solve, but as we've seen, we are finding people are resolving that. And I think what we've seen so far are localised solutions that have a big impact in their area, but they're a pinprick when it comes to the wider problem of ghost gear. And the Global Ghost Gear Initiative is designed to help that potential that we're seeing this morning to become a reality on a global scale. And that's why we're really proud to be a founding participant of that. I'd like to thank you all for working together with us over the last year to build the strong foundation for the GGI. This really has been a team game, and critically it's helped build a shared understanding of what we're setting out to achieve. Because ghost gear, obviously, as we've seen, has a big impact. It affects the fishing industry, the private sector, retailers, it affects general public, governments, intergovernmental organisations and NGOs like ourselves. And each of us brings a different perspective to that. Now, World Animal Protection's perspective is pretty obvious. We're focused on the ending of animal suffering, and that's why one of the 3 specific aims of the GGI is protecting marine animals from harm. And we're all familiar with the facts here, and I'll recite them, but I noticed someone stole them in an earlier video, so I know you're already familiar with these. But millions of animals are caught up in ghost nets every year, including an estimated 136,000 seals, sea lions and whales. And I'm sometimes particularly gripped by particular examples that demonstrate it. So for example, the 870 nets that were recovered off Washington State in the US had trapped more than 32,000 marine animals in them. And it's that sort of scale that really brings it home to me, what's going on. So we must remember that this isn't just a conservation problem. These animals may have drowned within minutes or endured long, slow deaths lasting months or even years, and all the while suffering from debilitating wounds, infection and starvation. So from our perspective, it's a very real animal welfare problem, and that's why we engage. But the aims of the GGI, which you have helped define and refine, go much further than that and reflect the goals and needs of all the stakeholders here. Critically, it aims to deal with the full range of impacts that ghost gear has, not just on wildlife, but on the health of marine ecosystems and human health and safety, as well as livelihoods, and much more. As we've seen, the commercial impacts can be huge, and let's just give one example. We heard about lobster pots earlier, and it's been estimated that the total loss globally of marketable lobster due to ghost fishing gear is in the order of $250 million US. So this is a very real economic problem as well as an environmental one. So the need to manage the oceans both sustainably and humanely is growing, and the ghost gear problem sadly is growing too. There's an estimated 2,000 tonnes of lost or discarded fishing gear that ends up in our oceans every day. So just in the 2 days of this conference, that'll be 4,000 tonnes. Now that's the equivalent of dumping 1,000 London buses in the seas every week. You can visualise it there. In fact, if you really want to visualise something strange, our researchers went a bit wild on this one and estimated that it's also the equivalent of dumping 10 million Justin Biebers into the ocean every year. I wasn't quite sure why they worked that out, but it was interesting. I'll leave you with that image. That's now 10% of all marine litter. And it stays there for centuries, so it's growing and growing, and it's not going away. This is something that's going to stay there for at least 600 years. As a result of that, I think we all know it's going to be a growing issue. We're going to see it more and more. It's going to become more obvious, and it's something that we can't avoid. The GGI gives us a chance to get ahead of the curve. So instead of reacting when public and media pressure begins to mount, we can join together to start looking for solutions that work on a global scale. And the initiative gives us a chance to build solutions that are practical, and I think that's a really common theme that's come out of all of today, we have to stick with. They've got to be economic, and they've got to work for all of the stakeholders here in the room. You can shape how the world reacts to the problem rather than be shaped by that reaction, and I think that's what's key about this. The timing is good. We're not here, and I must emphasise, we're not here to expose or blame. Someone mentioned about sometimes a nervousness of the industry here in seeing this as a negative problem, yet what we've seen so far is that they are every bit as much victims as everybody else of this, and that they're, in many senses, not being equipped with the solutions either. So we're here to understand why it happens and to recognise the fantastic work that the fishing industry and other stakeholders are already doing to address the problem. And we've seen quite a good few examples of that today. So we're here to give our support to that and take it to the next level. So immediate action is needed, but only constructive collective action will fully address the global problem of ghost gear. It's a collective responsibility, and that's reflected in the way the Triple GI is set up. It's been a pleasure this morning to get a taste of the fantastic work that many of you have already been doing. But really what was going through my mind was that what we've got is the beginnings of the work of the Triple GI. This is bringing together the foundations of that and giving us a clear head start in each of the three main areas. We're here to support, enhance and promote the building of evidence that's crucial for the understanding of the issue and underpinning solution delivery. Secondly, we're here to work to address the policy and practice at both regional and global scale. If we're to get that scaling up, if we're to make the impact and go from pinpricks to a real change on the issue, then that's vital. And finally, vitally, working in strategic partnerships to deliver solutions on the ground, providing examples of projects that work. There's nothing that inspires more than seeing that it can be done, it is realistic. So together, these could provide a framework for a global system of collaboration, building those solutions to a global scale and seeing real change in practice. And the Triple GI, someone mentioned right at the beginning, we just want to see some action, we want to see something happen out of this. And I think that this will only succeed if this comes out of rooms like this and into a bigger scale of practice. Now, World Animal Protection has never claimed to be an expert on the issue of ghost fishing gear. We're actually relatively newcomers on the issue, but we do see our role as a catalyst to bring people with the knowledge, experience and influence, and I'm looking around this room at the experts, knowledgeable people, really people like yourselves, bring them together to find the solutions. And we've committed to host the secretariat function of this initiative for the next couple of years. We're committing staff, resources and time to ensure that the Triple GI gets off the ground. So it's a very important priority for us, but we can't do it alone. One thing that's really worth emphasising is that the Triple GI is not ours, or at least it's not ours alone. It can only work if it is owned and delivered by all of the people in this room and eventually beyond. Now, success will depend on many things. A willingness to fund and participate in the work will be crucial. World Animal Protection's reach can only stretch so far as well. We are going to need all of you, help from all of you, to find the right stakeholders from all relevant parts of the world to make sure that they're involved and sat around this table in years to come. So above all, there is a need to be active for industry, governments and retailers to identify, adopt and promote the solutions that Triple GI identifies. This is not an academic exercise. I'd just like to close by mentioning some of the issues and just to really emphasise the importance of industry in all of this and understand also the problems and issues they face. I actually grew up in a fishing town. A lot of my family had been trawlermen and dockers over the years. And I've seen close up the tough economic times that the industry has had to work in. They are tough times, and they're also beset from all sides by voices calling for action on this issue or that issue, And I can fully understand if, when they first hear about ghost gear, their first reaction isn't to sigh and think, oh God, not another one. And that would be understandable. And that's why I'm so pleased to see a number of seafood and fishing industry representatives in the room here at this meeting. Because as we've seen, this is a problem that isn't going to go away. It is a problem that has commercial impact on the fishing industry that could be turned into a positive, and we've seen from some of the solutions out there. And your leadership in moving this forward will give us the insight and advice that will enable us to set Triple GI up in a way that works for industry itself. And after all, that's where the solutions are going to be found. So it's been invaluable. So positive collaboration underpins our ability to achieve our goals, and we're looking forward to working with all of you to find solutions to the ghost gear to benefit everyone. And I'd like to emphasise, we realise that if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. So we have to find those solutions that are common. So the meeting now is formally underway. Triple GI is now a real thing. It's not a thing in planning, it's a thing in existence after this next couple of todays. The potential is enormous. And I think we also ought to remember briefly that this is a new model to this area. It could become a model of how collaborative action can resolve global issues. And while we're seeing all these problems, all these issues, you can get diverted into the minutiae. I think sometimes it's worth bringing our heads up and remembering this is something that could potentially have a massive impact on the world, our environment, the animals in that, and the industry. And we could all be forging that over the next couple of days. So that really hold on to that in the next 2 days, really hold on to that excitement. And I'd just like to finish by saying, before I step down, I can't do that without saying a massive thank you to Catherine and to Joe, and in fact to the whole team that's been working on this, not just within World Animal Protection, because I know the work that you've all been putting in over the last year. I think we all should show our appreciation. Thank you.